We are now.
Live in this bitch.
We are now.
Sorry.
NFL draft show. No, you're fine. It doesn't matter.
I'm not here.
5 minutes away. Oh, the pick is in.
The pick's in.
The pick's in. Number 1 draft in Vegas. Wow, that's a nice fucking...
Woo!
What
Vegas.
the hell is that? Is that the actual Raiders stadium that they just opened up one side of or something? First team to have back-to-back number 1 picks in 2 years. In like 20 years or something. Here we go. Number 1 pick.
In the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker is the number 1 pick.
Is that who you said?
No, it's not. Now, there was a lot of speculation that he was going to get picked number 1. Georgia defense. I don't know if you knew anything about the national championship this year, but the Georgia defense is going to set a record of having the most defensive players drafted in the first round. They're going to have like 5 of their 11 starters drafted in the first round. That's how crazy their defense is. And Trayvon Walker, the number 1 pick taken. Now this guy, here's why I don't like this pick for them. Trayvon Walker is a complete prototype. He's a really athletic, raw defensive end. But he's got like 2 years before he's going to be a starter. Like he's still a project player. So he's going to have a good future in the NFL, but it's going to take him 2 years to do it. And I don't know if at the number 1 pick, that's the kind of player you want. You want someone who's ready to go out right away.
Trayvon Walker!
The Lions already have their pick in. They're not even going to wait the 7 minutes to field for offers. This pick's going to be Aiden Hutchinson, who should have been the number 1 pick. Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan defensive end, edge rusher, so he's going to stay in Michigan as he goes to Detroit.
Home Depot. Bottom right corner. Sponsored by Home Depot.
The first 3 picks are gonna, probably all going to be edge rushers, which is crazy. Trayvon Walker, the number 1 pick. I do not like that pick at all.
Well,
And the Jaguars, the worst team in the league the last 2 years. They took Trevor Lawrence last year.
woo! Jaguars.
Yeah,
suck.
right. It's good for me
They're
because,
coming last
hey,
again.
they're in my division, so I'll take them having shitty picks.
Yeah, Colts suck too. Look at my cousin, dude. 30.
Is he the
Alex
one in the
Rager.
shorts? Is he the one in the
No.
jean shorts?
No.
Oh,
it's great. The one in the fucking banana bathing suit.
Nice.
Check out the fucking Twitter. You're on a commercial right now?
No.
Check out the fucking MMA Complete Twitter.
They're really trying to sell that Trayvon Walker is deserving of this number 1 pick. He really isn't. I'm telling you right now. He's not going to be a bust, but he's not going to be like a Khalil Mack generational talent kind of dude. All right, Lions pick coming in. Everybody speculating it's already Aiden Hutchinson.
With the second pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep, Aiden Hutchinson, the number 2 pick. That's a good pick for the Lions. Really good pick. All right, and as they say, the NFL draft has now officially started because now the Texans are on the board. They can do anything. People have tried to trade up for this spot. The Texans could get any position because they need everything after trading Deshaun Watson this offseason. fleeced the Browns, if you ask me. They got so many picks. The Texans traded Deshaun Watson to the Browns. They got 3 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, a 4th, and like 2 fifth-rounders.
Wow. They're just gonna get
It's
rid
like
of
a Ricky Williams
their,
trade.
get rid of their whole fucking team.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Browns do not have a lot of picks over the next 2 or 3 years. Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Not much. How are we doing?
Give me 1 second. I gotta grab earbuds to talk to you because I don't want this to echo. Real
Go
quick
for it.
though, what do you think of the number 1 pick, Trayvon Walker?
I mean, for the Jaguars, it's interesting, but I mean, hey, they need a piece on defense, and I mean, Trayvon Walker is definitely a guy to do it. Really, when you look at the stats, I mean, 6 sacks in college out of Georgia, 19 solo tackles. I mean, he didn't have any forced fumbles.
A lot of Georgia defenders come out this
Oh,
first
yeah.
round. It's gonna be crazy.
And I mean, why wouldn't you? This was a team that literally won the national championship this year against the Crimson Tide. So, I mean, they're stacked with talent. And this defensive end, he's going to bring the pressure that the Jaguars need to bring to any opposing offensive lines. That's something they need ever since Calais Campbell really departed from the team and went on to where he's in Baltimore now. So for them, it's a solid pick. I like what they had. I mean, hey, you have to go with the top guy in the draft, and Trayvon Walker.
If I were them, I would have taken Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's more proven. I think he's going to be a better player off the start. Trayvon Walker has the better potential, I guess you could say. But
yeah,
the Jaguars are building for 3-4 years in the future. They're not building for right now. So I think it's a good pick. It's not one I agree with, but time will tell because you got the 2 best edge rushers, probably the best 2 players in the draft this year, just went off the board at number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, and that was the point I was going to make is Aiden Hutchinson, literally 3rd in the league, 3rd in college in sacks, finishing the year with 14, 36 solo tackles, and 2 forced fumbles. That alone, to me, screams number 1 pick. But hey, I mean, is it Detroit that's next up?
Detroit just took Hutchinson at number 2. The Texans are on the clock right now.
There we go.
Texans pick
I
is
mean,
in.
Okay.
I'm going to, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. I'm going to run and grab
Go
your
for
phone
it.
so I can hear you real quick. All right, that should be better.
Okay.
So number 3 pick, Houston Texans. In my mock draft, which anybody checking this out afterwards, you can go follow. You can go to fansonlysports.com. I had a 3-round mock draft I released yesterday. I had the Houston Texans taking a cornerback here, Ahmad Gardner out of Cincinnati.
Okay.
I also didn't have Trayvon Walker getting taken until pick 20 because I don't love how much of a project player he is. So my mock draft's already fucked.
Who did you say that you had?
I had the Patriots taking Trayvon Walker at pick 20 or 21.
That would be interesting. I mean, the Patriots, I don't know. In most mock drafts I've seen, I forget that linebacker's name, but
Devin
I
Lloyd.
like it. Yeah, they need to go and get a middle linebacker, some type of backer for the Patriots because, I mean, Duffy and I were talking about this on Unapologetic last night, how you're talking about Dante Hightower and Kyle Van Noy. Those are solid guys, but at the end of the day, Dante Hightower doesn't look the same anymore. And Kyle Van Noy, love the dude, way too slow of a backer to really keep up with what the linebacker position has become in the NFL, which is a hybrid safety, really. So
Yep. And that's
we'll
what Devin
see.
Lloyd is.
Yeah.
He's a safety in college, transformed into a linebacker. He's like 6 foot, 225 pounds. So he's a really small backer, but he's great in pass coverage and he can stuff the run game. So Lloyd would be a really good pick for the Pats. I don't know if he'll make it that far. I think that honestly we're going to see linebackers go a little bit quicker than they usually do. Usually you don't see them till the end of the first. I think they might get taken in the top 15 this year. But here we go. Pick is in for the Texans.
Yeah, I wish I had the draft on live in front of me.
Okay, so the Texans did get a cornerback, but they go for Derek Stingley Jr., my number one rated cornerback, which I think I should put my database on here. I think that would help out.
That would be great, honestly. Something for us to look at.
So Derek Stingley Jr., the number one high school prospect when he went into LSU in 2018, he had only in 11 games started this year, he had 10 balls thrown his way. That's how tight his coverage is. He would just eliminate a side of the field like we saw Darrelle Revis doing. And that is the best comp for him that we've seen NFL draft analysis people talk about. He's a man corner, straight up, a press corner that the Texans they're going to have a 10-year starter at the corner position now. He's going to be locking down one side of the field. A great, great pick for them. Ahmad Gardner is a little bit different. He's a zone corner. I like him a little bit better to be able to do everything. But if the Texans want to run a man defense, Stingley was the number one option, and they have probably, in my opinion, the best value pick of the draft so far.
Yeah, and I mean, the Houston Texans, they've always been a man-to-man type of cornerback defense, really. I mean, I'm trying to think. Jonathan Joseph is a key example of that from that defense when he used to be in the NFL. I mean, Jonathan Joseph was a man-to-man guy that you could rely on, and I think what they get out of Ahmad Stingley Jr. is exactly what this team's looking for in terms of continuing what they know. And to me, a man-to-man corner is way better than a zone coverage cornerback. That's a guy who can go press to press against your top wide receiver. Guys who play zones, I mean, you can play the zone effectively. Hey, I'll give it to you, but it all comes down to facing a guy one-on-one. And if you can't do that, in my opinion, you're not a good corner. A little harsh, but, you got to say it.
I think you're right on the money there. So I'm going to put up – I could do a couple different things here, but I'm just going to put up my big board. Obviously, we don't have the draft order on right here, but I'm just going to highlight the players that have been taken so far. So for me personally, and I've been doing the NFL draft, mock drafts for 3 or 4 years now, so there might be some backlash on where I have these players taken, where I have specifically Trayvon Walker, because I was not big on him as a lot of other draft analysis experts were. And again, I'm not an expert, but I have been doing this for several years, and I paid a lot of attention, especially to Georgia football this year because their defense was so great.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to throw this on the board right now. For me, Trayvon Walker was the number 28 prospect on my big board.
Wow. And
Just
that's
me
great.
personally, and he has one.
So
of the
you're
best
kind of saying
potentials
this
in the
is
draft.
you're kind of saying this is almost a reach, really, for this year.
I at number 1, the Jaguars have the number 1 pick.
Yep.
I want to go for a lock, and for me, Aiden Hutchinson, he might not be. How can I make this a little smaller? Nope. All right.
That works.
So for me, you want to go for a guy you know is going to be a lock. He's going to produce for you for several years. And Trayvon Walker, he has the potential to do that. He's not going to do it right away, though. Aiden Hutchinson is going to do that. And Trayvon Walker, I believe, was helped out a lot by the Georgia defense this year being so strong all around the board. So as you can see, I have Trayvon down here at 28. He was for edge rushers, he was my number 6th edge rusher on the board. And, the Jaguars, I'm sure, did their homework. They had plenty of time to know that they were going to have the number 1 pick. So, good luck to him. I think that Walker will be a superstar in the NFL, edge rusher with the potential to get 10-plus sacks every year.
Yeah. I mean, it also kind of comes down to, like you said, he's a development player. And, I mean, that's kind of a good thing in terms of a team that's trying to build. Because if you go out and get yourself a superstar right away that you know is going to produce, hey, good for you. You know he's going to be there and make all the plays. But, hey, let it grow because this team is starting back from scratch. You get Trevor Lawrence last year in the draft, and you work your way back to where you are now. So this team's in it for the long run. They know they're not going to be the best team right out of the gate because they know they need more time to develop. So go ahead and get yourself those players that can develop over time. And that's why Trayvon Walker is probably the safest pick they can make right now, because he's a guy they know in the future he'll be there and be a big part of this team's production going forward to hopefully get them back to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. They are planning to go for a 2-3 year rebuild. And, Trevor Lawrence, after last season, it seems like he's going to need that time too. So go with who you want for potential. Trayvon Walker, not a bad pick by any means. He's an exceptional edge rusher. I've already said that I don't love the pick, but I think it's a good pick. I want to focus on real quick the number 3 pick, Derek Stingley Jr. again. I know we talked about it a little bit after he got drafted.
And something I kind of wanted to add about Derek Stingley is, like, you have it right around the spot where most people had him picked. Most of the mock drafts I saw, specifically the one I'm looking at right now, Charles Davis's, he had the Seattle Seahawks taking him, which I think would have been a good pick for the Seahawks because, I mean, hey, it's not the time.
Cornerback Gardner to get taken by the Seahawks, because I think that it was the Texans and the Seahawks are the only top 10 picks that really needed a cornerback. Now, you could see the Jets do it, but the Jets have other areas that I think they should focus on first. They are on the clock right now. The pick is in, but Goodell isn't walking up to the stage yet.
Okay, which is surprising because we were thinking potentially Deebo Samuel could be moved tonight to them, but
yeah,
I guess we'll find out.
I think the Jets should trade for Deebo. I like their wide receiver options. They're not the best, but they have decent options.
They still have Crowder.
The Jets need to focus on offensive line right now. I think Jamison Crowder he went to the Bills this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God. I hope not.
Jamison Crowder right here got added to the Buffalo Bills. That was a huge get for them. The Bills' offense is going to be stacked next year, dude.
The whole team's stacked. I mean, like, as much as a Patriots fan as I am, the Miami Dolphins and the Bills are going to give the Pats a run for their money. However, the Patriots, they're not taking number 1 spot in the East. Here it is.
Here we go. Number 4 pick is in. Sauce Ahmed Gardner. So the pick that I had at number 3 goes to number 4. I was just saying that I think they had other needs besides cornerback, but Gardner definitely one of the top 5 prospects in the draft. The Jets go out and get a corner to pair with Bryce Hall. I like the pick, and they have a pick again. I want to say the number 10 pick is there, so they have another top 10 pick. Go out and get the best prospect available. Good pick for the Jets, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a solid pick for the Jets. I mean, out of Cincinnati, a 6'3", 200-pound corner, that's a really big boy right there for a cornerback, a guy who can really stack up against a 6-foot-plus wide receiver. And, I mean, for them right now, they need defensive talent because that team has just struggled in every way, shape, and form to really stop the pass, stop the run, stop anything. But, hey, they're starting with the one that's most important because the NFL is a pass-first league, and going out and getting yourself a cornerback, a great way to start out for the Jets.
Definitely. And in that division, we know Miami's going to want to pass the ball this year. We know New England with Mac Jones is going to be passing the ball even more. And we know the Bills can do either, but they mostly like to pass, especially now that they have the receiving threats that they have. Gabriel Davis coming into his own in the playoffs. They signed Jamison Crowder. Dawson Knox is going to take a step up this year.
And they get O.J. Howard to pair up with him, too.
I mean, about that. Oh, my God. The Bills are stacked, dude.
The Bills are stacked. The Bills are scary. They're probably, I mean, they could easily, at this point, contend, maybe not even just contend, maybe even overtake the Kansas City Chiefs to be the top reigning team in the AFC at this point. And, I mean, obviously we won't see them just yet, but the way their team looks right now, they probably have the number 1 seed, in my opinion, if I were to call the conference this year.
I totally agree with you. I think the Bills are going to finally get over that hump and beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I think the Chiefs, without Tyreek Hill, took a step down. But if you look at their defensive let-goes this year, they lost, I want to say, Anthony Hitchens, the linebacker. They lost Jaron Reed, who's a huge defensive tackle for them that stuffed the run. And obviously they lost Tyreek Hill and the lineman that they had. It's escaping me at the moment. But they signed a couple people in free agency, but in my opinion, they lost way more than they added.
Yeah, I mean, they did manage to get Frank Clark back. That was a big piece they needed in terms of keeping the pass rush up with Chris Jones there already. I mean, if you lose both of those, if you lose either one of those guys, then your pass rush really comes down to one dude. And they're looking to have that still be a big piece of the defense. But Chiefs, I mean, hey, man, I can't, as long as Patrick Mahomes is on that team, they're going to be a dangerous team regardless. I mean, he's still going to find ways to make the plays happen. I mean, who knows? The Chiefs can end up making the Bills have a run for their money. But at the end of the day, that defense is their Achilles heel in terms of if they can stack up and get back to the Super Bowl. They proved it in the playoffs and throughout the season. So for this team, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where they end up at the end of the year.
Totally. I'm gonna try to set this up. I should have got this before we were going. I had the podcast. My bad.
It's all good.
I have this database that I do every year for the prospects. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom because our names are here and stuff. But I have this is my process for doing all my mock drafts. I have quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, tackles, edge rushers, like I already showed, cornerbacks. So I put a lot of work into my mock draft in my database every year, and I got to tell you, my mock draft is completely wrong so far. I didn't get a single pick right so far.
I mean, that's why they call it a mock draft.
Right. I did have Hutchinson, Gardner, and Stingley in the first 4 picks. I just didn't have them in the right picks. So, but we have a long way to go for the first round. They always stretch this shit out so much.
Oh, yeah.
It's, I want to say they usually go like 3 hours.
Usually. I might only be able to stick around for like maybe an hour. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna see how long it goes. I know the Patriots have the 21st pick, and that probably will happen around 10:30. So I might, or maybe 10, probably around 10. So I'll probably stay right around till then. It's what I did last year. I stayed till the Patriots pick. They had the 23rd pick last year. No, they had the 16th.
15th.
15th? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was 15th. Yeah, I that was like the first time I've actually sat down and watched the draft, really, because honestly, I mean, Bill Burr put it best one time. He's like, what kind of a loser sits down and watches the draft, dude? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, hey, I'll give it to the first round. That's fine. But people watch the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh. Like, dude, you're a loser. Like, come on. You got to have more time on. You got to.
I am so proud to be one of those losers. I don't know what it is about the NFL draft, but it's honestly as exciting to me as the Super Bowl. Just because I spend so much time all year making this database, and I never get it right. I never even get close. But that one pick you get with like the number 7 pick, you have one of your teams that you like, you got it right, and it's a great positional need. It's super exciting every year. And the number 5 pick is in. The Giants are on the clock. I have them taking an offensive lineman in my mock draft, Ike Ekwonu. Let's see if they go there. I think that they should get an offensive lineman, whether it be a tackle or a guard. I think that's their number 1 need.
You said no lineman is their need?
I would say it's their number 1 need, yeah.
100%.
Oh, I didn't even have that up. Oops.
The great Roger Goodell.
Yeah, Goodell's milking this pick.
One of my friends from work, he told me he got a New York Giants helmet that his dad had because his father recently just passed away, so they were kind of like going through some of his memorabilia that he had, and he had a New York Giants helmet that was signed by Lawrence Taylor, and it said below the autographed name, Lawrence Taylor, it said, "I'm a bad mother effer."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he wrote it, so screw it. I'll buy that.
All right, so the New York Football Giants take the number 2 player on my board, edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. Not an offensive lineman, not what I thought they would do, but a great prospect and an edge rusher the Giants definitely need. So it's a good pick, and they do have the number 7 pick as well. So they have a quick turnaround. The Panthers are going to be on the clock now. We might see a stretch in the first quarterback taken. It would be way too early based on this year's quarterback skill level. This is one of the worst quarterback drafts that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick a quarterback this year, I'm going to just say you're smoking something funny because there is just no way you should touch a quarterback. In my opinion, until probably the second or third round, maybe even later than that. It's just not looking very, very nice for them. But I mean, in terms of Kayvon Thibodeau, I like the player. You got a 4.58 40-yard dash. Like, that's a fast man right there on the line who can explode right away. 35 solo tackles on the season, 7 sacks and 2 forced fumbles out of Oregon, and a 6'5", 258-pound player. This dude screams speed, and I like what the Giants are doing in terms of saying, hey, we need an edge rusher. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of sitting here also being like, bro, you missed out on the most important piece you need, which is protecting your quarterback. And Saquon Barkley. That's how Saquon Barkley got hurt. And at the end of the day, I mean, they need a guard, they need a tackle, they need a center, they need everything on that O-line.
They absolutely do. But I think that these next 2 picks we're going to see offensive linemen come off the board. I think Carolina probably will take an O-line, but with Sam Darnold being not what they expected when they traded for him last year, I wouldn't be surprised if they do take a quarterback. Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett will be the first quarterback taken. I don't think it'll be till like the mid first round to second round. Kenny Pickett, if he didn't have the small hands, he has the smallest measured hands of any quarterback once he gets drafted in the NFL. If he didn't have that, he would be a top 10 pick. And Malik Willis is the closest thing to Lamar Jackson in this draft. Malik Willis, the dual threat. So either one of those guys can get taken first quarterback off the board.
I'm going to give Duffy a call, see if he wants to jump in.
Yeah, for sure. In
He
my
definitely-
mock draft, I had them taking an offensive tackle, Evan Neal. So,
You're talking about the Giants still?
no, the Panthers.
Gotcha.
Panthers need offensive line, but if you need a quarterback, and the Panthers don't have another pick till the 4th round, if you need a quarterback, some teams are going to go out and stretch. And, you know, it's a bad example because of what he turned out. But a team that 5 years ago thought that they got a stretch for a quarterback, everybody said that they drafted him way too early, and they traded up to get him, was the Chiefs going for Patrick Mahomes in a draft class that people said it wasn't as bad as this one, but it was a bad draft class. So it sometimes works out for him. I don't think this year has the potential. I know that there's no quarterback with the potential of Pat Mahomes.
No. I mean, it's unquestioned. I mean, if you were to tell me that a quarterback prospect was coming in now that had the caliber that he has, like, no, get out of here. Right. There's just no way. If anything, we're talking... I mean, basically what most people were saying was most of these quarterbacks were equivalent in talent to Jordan Love. That's really saying something in terms of talent because Jordan Love, we've seen him play in the NFL, and it has a lot to be desired, I have to say. I mean, Jordan Love running the Green Bay Packers would be a sight to see, and I don't think the Packers want to see it anytime soon, hence why they got Aaron Rodgers back.
Right. So while we're on the topic of quarterbacks, there is one guy that I do want to talk about. I respect Todd McShay and Mel Kiper and Marcus Spears, the guys that do all the draft analysis, and they're the ones on ESPN, and they focus a lot of their time on it. But for me personally, there's a kid out of North Carolina. His name's Sam Howell, and he is, to me, a prototype like Baker Mayfield. Like, he's a smaller guy with a good arm who's able to get out of the pocket, and he has really good success with slot receivers in the middle of the field. And I think that he's been overlooked so much. You're not going to see him get taken until probably the middle of the 2nd round. But this kid, Sam Howell, he's going to have a year to sit behind whatever team drafts him. I think that he's the best quarterback in this draft. I have him at, I want to say, the number 30th prospect. So I like him as another name to throw up there for quarterbacks. I just wanted to throw that out there. But on the clock coming up is Carolina. There has been talks about them getting a quarterback. I think it'll be O-line. Right after them, the Giants pick again. So the Giants and the Jets both have 2 top 10 picks. We're going to see the Giants select twice first.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe the Giants will take an old lineman. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau, that's definitely, like I said, one of the best edge pass rushers up there on the board. Why pass up on that? Why? But I mean, I don't know, man. We'll see. The Giants, they've had some very interesting picks. I mean, especially you can go back to when Daniel Jones was drafted, because I just remember everybody in their seats just was like, what is wrong with this organization? Really, what is wrong with this organization and their picks? Like this, it just doesn't make sense. And honestly, it looked like it would work out, but it's not. So we'll see if the change in the front office really worked out for them with this upcoming pick. But for the Panthers, I do agree they need O-line because, I mean, Christian McCaffrey's getting hurt way too often. And then when Teddy Bridgewater was there, oh my God, dude, like that guy was in a cast almost every freaking week. It was ridiculous. He could hardly play. So Sam Darnold injured last year as well because of that. I mean, Panthers, you need protection.
Right. It's easy to say that Sam Darnold had a terrible year, but when you're getting sacked 50 times a year, your stats are going to go down anyway. So you give him a good year. Even like Daniel Jones is the same way. I don't believe in Daniel Jones at all. I'm a big non-believer in Daniel Jones.
I mean, rightfully so.
But I mean, you could definitely say that once these guys get better protection, they're going to be better players, and we haven't seen that in their careers. You know, even Darnold, when he was with the Jets, he didn't have an O-line. So give them a good blindside tackle, give them a good guard to make their running game better, to give the play action a benefit, and then you'll see them improve from there. I don't think that Darnold or Jones are the answer in either of their teams, but I think that they are serviceable starters. And I certainly think that giving them O-line help will make them better. You don't agree with me, dude. My buddy Austin's sitting on the side of me here. He's shaking his head at me as I'm talking about Darnold and Jones.
No, they suck, yeah.
I mean, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold showed.
More hope than Daniel Jones.
That's what what I was going to say.
Run through Barkley now. You have to run through Barkley, and Barkley's always hurt. So
listen, the Giants have the highest cap room of their wide receiver group in the NFL. They have like $70 million on their wide receiver room. Last year, they got 5 touchdowns from wide receivers.
Yeah, because their quarterback sucks.
You were going to say,
and Kenny Golladay, I mean, he's a majority of that cap room. And then I don't understand what's wrong with this team holding on to Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. Like, Darius Slayton popped up, and he looked really good for a little bit. But these guys suck. I'm sorry. Get better wideouts.
All right, so the pick is in for the Panthers. The Panthers take the first offensive lineman on the board, Ike Ekwonu, who is a guard tackle combo. This dude's 6'6", 320 pounds out of NC State. Good pick by the Panthers. That's going to help out with Christian McCaffrey in the run game, and he can get moved anywhere on the line. And like we said, they want to give Sam Darnold another chance, so building the O-line is probably their best move to do it. I love this pick.
Yeah, I mean, Panthers, I just looked it up offensively in terms of their stats. They were 5th in the NFL in sacks allowed. They had 52 sacks on their quarterback last season. Ikem Ekwonu, that's going to be a good addition to this team to really get started in terms of the pass protection. You're not going to see it right away and just really change overnight, but it's going to develop, and it's going to get to the point where they can feel comfortable with the pocket protection.
All right, so with Ekwonu gone, I think the Giants definitely take... well, actually, here's the thing. I think that they have 2 picks here because Kyle Hamilton and Evan Neal are the 2 top-rated prospects on my list that are still available. Evan Neal, the tackle out of Alabama. Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. Both of these guys are physical freaks for their position. Evan Neal, 6'6", 360 pounds. And he ran a 5'1", 40-yard dash. He ran like a 7-second flat 3-cone, which for a tackle at 300 pounds is crazy, but at 360, it's ridiculous. Kyle Hamilton, 6'4", 220-pound safety. the best run-stopping safety we have seen in the NFL in years come into the draft. So I think either of those picks are going to be great for the Giants. I do think that they should focus on O-line. You know, they just got an edge rusher to build the D-line, and now they should go with O-line, build the trenches, which is what I think any good rebuild starts with. So I would think Evan Neal goes here at number 7. But it's the Giants, and they could do anything at this point. So it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, and I mean, it's basically just waiting and seeing at this point to see what this team does. And I mean, Evan O'Neal out of Alabama, I mean, you're talking about a very good, O lineman sitting at 6'7" and weighs 337 pounds. Like, that's a tall guy. That's a guy you need to really stop that edge rush from those pass rushers in the tackle position. This is a kid that if you bring in, you're really setting the table for your protection of your quarterback right from the get-go. So for this team, they're going to have to focus on getting a tackle with this next pick. But also an interesting stat from the New York Giants is they I believe you were muted also if you were talking.
I was on mute that whole time. Wow.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it's silent here for some reason.
I was going off on how the New York football teams can't draft for shit. So
no, and I mean, it's kind of surprising because when I looked at the stats in terms of sacks allowed for the Giants, they were actually middle of the pack. They only allowed 38 sacks total on the season against opposing defenses. So I mean, sure, you could say, hey, let's use that as a source to be like, okay, we don't really need O-linemen. But if you really want to be a good O-line, because this is a good step in terms of saying, hey, we were middle of the pack last year, so why not continue to make that better and push us further up in pocket protection? Not only that, run protection when Saquon Barkley's going to run the ball, because it's proven that Daniel Jones is not durable, and neither is Saquon Barkley. So in order to keep them healthy, you need to keep boosting that O-line.
And I think you're totally right. I come from the pedigree of you can never have enough offensive linemen.
No.
You know, you want to look at the Cowboys when they had their great offensive line. Me being a Colts fan, we prioritized offensive line for a while in the run game. Like, I think it's just not going to hurt you. Even if you get a guy that's going to be in middle of the pack tackle, and the pick is in real quick. So the Giants select with the number 7 pick.
The New York Giants select
Evan Neal.
There it is.
Tackle from Bama. So I think that's a great pick from them. They're going to pair him up with Andrew Thomas. Evan Neal is going to be a left tackle right off the start. He's going to be a franchise tackle for this team.
My buddy Joe DeLeon, all the way in California, a New Jersey-born man, he better be happy that the Giants made this pick. I'm sure he's happy regardless with the first pick they made, but he's probably letting out a sigh of relief at this point as a Giants fan because, like we said, this was a team for the last 3 years, maybe even longer than that. They've needed offensive linemen. This is great. This is just, I mean, Giants fans should be having a jubilee at this point over this pick. This is huge for them.
Large family.
So, again, going back to my board real quick, the Giants in their 2 picks in the top 7 of this year's draft selected 2 of the top 3 players on my board. I mean, they really can't do any better. They drafted one of the best defensive linemen in my
There he
opinion.
is!
This draft is crazy, bro. Shit.
What?
Yo, first offensive player taken, man. Evan Neal. I'm geeked.
Yep.
We were just talking about it. I mean, that's a great
first
pick.
Offensive player, huh?
Yo,
I didn't
I got
even
Matt
realize
Turkey
the top
here.
6 picks were all defense.
Oh, wait, whoa. My bad.
What?
I'll join soon again.
What's going on?
There was
I'm
just
loving
too
that
much
LED light behind
there's
you.
stuff in the room. I got incriminating stuff.
Okay, do your thing. Come back. Or wait, block
Yo.
your camera out.
You like this gummy bear earring?
Dude, you're fine, Garrus.
Yo, Zach,
What's up,
your team's
dog?
picking before mine because your team didn't make the playoffs, you chump.
Oh, really? Is that what? Who the hell
Your
is your
team is chump.
Who the hell's your team?
What pick?
You know, I don't know if he can hear us too well. You know what? his
What are the
team
Colts
is?
picking? I can't. Can you go down a little bit more?
The Colts don't have a first rounder.
Huh?
They don't have a first round pick.
Oh, you traded away. Damn, I
They
didn't
traded
know.
for Carson Wentz. They traded away their first round
All right,
pick.
I'll be back soon. Okay.